you have 36 people in the dorm I was in one time, and this is at a prison. And whereas, it kicked off a race riot, right? And they had us outnumbered. The blacks, I think it was only 6 of us in the dorm. In the dorm with them, I don't even talk about the ethnicity of that group because it's not important, right? I'm not here trying to promote bull crap. But that ethnic group, they had us outnumbered. In fact, I think they had I think it was like 16 of them in the dorm. The time it happened, it was like 15 of them in there. So it was 15 on 6. And we had to fight them, right? And it was a good, long fight, man. Correctional officer ain't coming right away, right? They got to get their stuff together, too, to come stop the fight. So we were in there fighting 6 people on 15, and they put locks inside of a sock. And they started hitting us with locks in the socks on our head. You got cats bleeding, and we in there tumbling, trying to, get these cats up off of us. And, I mean, man.
Yeah, to have once been a criminal is no disgrace. To remain a criminal is the disgrace. I formerly was a criminal. I formerly was in prison. I'm not ashamed of that.
One day I was on my way to court. I was handcuffed, shackled hand to foot in the sheriff vehicle. And I'm going into the courtroom, right? I was actually going to Alameda Court. I got caught up out there with the dope and guns. And so they're getting us out of the van, and I'm in a parking lot right next to the courthouse. And when they're taking us out of this van, I look across the parking lot, maybe I would say like 30 yards, maybe 40 yards away from me. I see my mama van pull up. And I see my mama get out the van. At the time, my mama got her leg is amputated, half one of her legs. I see her get out with her prostate leg. I see my sister. My sister has a disability. I love her to death. She got her glasses on. She helped my mama out. And she get the wheelchair out. And I'm sitting there looking at this situation take place. My mama get in the wheelchair. She look at me. And I felt like a damn fool. I felt so sad. I'm like, I got my mama coming to court to see me, to try to be there for her son. And my dumb ass going in and out of jail.
Wow.
Right? And I see my mama look at me. She blow me a kiss. I can't even blow her a kiss back. I'm shackled. I can't even lift my arm up here to blow her kiss back to her. And at that point right there, I said, you know what, man? You got to stop.
Right.
You got to stop, man. Look at your mama. Look at your sister.
Yeah.
And at that point right there, and that's when I say, you know what is it for me? I'm out the game. I'm not doing this shit no more. And once again, I meant it. I ended up coming home out of jail after that time, and I started getting rid of guns. Okay. And I'm trying to get rid of stuff, right? But as life would have it, you're going to find people if you at a point in your life when you feel like, I want to change. I want to lose weight. I want to stop smoking, right? I want to change this job. Something is in most cases, sometimes something happened.
Yeah. Right.
And you begging God, like, God, help me stop this stuff. Something in your life might happen that you may not be comfortable with. It might, but it's there if God allowing you to get pulled out of that situation. You got to accept that, and whatever it may be, right? And start going through that change that you requesting of God. It might not happen the way you wanted it to, or you wanted to. God will find another way to allow you to experience that change. And you got to take hold of it and walk in it, because I ended up getting arrested again. And that time right there, I was like, all right, this is my opportunity to change. And that's when the change started to happen on a grand level.
So basically you can't be, if you're asking God, renew my mind, transform me.
Yes.
Don't be mad at the process that
right.
He uses to renew your mind and to transform you.
Oh, no doubt about it. I had a headache every day for a year, right? And I was praying to God, like, God, help me make some decisions in my life, right? And I was struggling with these decisions. I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I was like, God, just help me. And needless to say, I got arrested. The day I got arrested, headache stopped. I didn't have a headache again for years. I don't remember the next time I had a headache. The headache stopped, and decision, actually, I wanted to make that decision I was asking God for started to be made for me. I started to make these decisions. He started to talk to me about how to make these decisions, and things started to become clear to me. But it was only when I got arrested I was able to see it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you're going to get pulled out of your situation, your current lifestyle. You might lose that job, right? You want to quit anyway. You want to start your own business. Sometimes God might allow you to lose your job. You get fired, and you're like, why I get fired? Right. And the first couple of days, you're going to be crying about that job loss. But then God going to put you over here away from that so you can have more time to work on your baby, right? Instead of focus on somebody else's baby.
Right. So basically what I hear you saying is that sometimes we're distracted and we're like, you can't hear God, you can't see what He's doing, but sometimes He removes those distractions, and it might not be the way you want Him to remove it, and He basically clears the vision. He basically removes the scales from your eyes. He basically removes that dark cloud from your face where weren't able to see or hear him clearly because you were in the midst of so much distraction and darkness.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well put.
So Marlo, it might be some young folks that come across this video. Can you tell them about some of the worst things that you've seen during incarceration?
Most definitely. Listen, man, it's not fun. It's not funny. It's not a game. It's not a joke. People, think that it's cool and shit. You get out of jail and you come back to the hood and you can say, yeah, I did time up here in Solano. I did time up here in Vacaville and Queen. And that shit ain't fly, man. And let me tell you something. If you're thinking about contemplating or whatever, making this decision to go down this unlawful path, let me just tell you some of the stuff I saw. And I'm sure people probably see way more than what I've seen. But in the county jail, I experienced one time just sitting there minding my own business, talking on the side to some guys, standing against the wall, thinking everything is cool. The guy come up to me and just fired on me for nothing. Bam, hit me right in my jaw. I don't know why. He jumped back with his guards up, and I'm like, what the? And so I guess he thought he was going to knock me out, but he didn't. So I knuckled up with him, but I realized who it was. It was a guy that was in one of the prison gangs, right? And so I look at their whole gang standing across, looking right at us, maybe 9 of them, looking at me, and I haven't seen them jump people in the air. Yeah, I'm outnumbered. So I didn't fight back right away. I kind of looked to try to see the outcome. But at the end of the day, me knowing people from Oakland, and they part of that same kind of affiliation. Yeah, they was like, man, hey, dude, they ain't about to jump you. You know what I mean? If you want to fight, do 1-on-1 for that, you good, Marlo. So we ended up going in the cell and we had to fight, right? And I'm sure he wouldn't hit me again, but at the end of the day, I'm saying, because I handle my business, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is if you ain't a fighter, right? A lot of people ain't fighters. You got a lot of cats out here that shoot, right? They'll shoot you in a minute, right? But ain't no guns in there, man. So you got to think about that, man. You shoot people out here and you got to go in there. You got to face people in there with these. If you ain't really with these, you might want to stop and try to do something different, right? Because there ain't no guns in there, man. Another thing I saw, and that was in one of my experiences, right? I've been in a couple of riots where, we in a dorm. You have 36 people in a dorm I was in one time, and this is at a prison. And whereas, it kicked off a race riot, right? And they had us outnumbered. The blacks, I think it was only 8 of us in the dorm total. At the time the riot happened, only 6 of us in the dorm. The other people were out doing other things. In the dorm with them, I don't even talk about the ethnicity of that group because it's not important, right? I'm not here trying to promote bullcrap. But that ethnic group, they had us outnumbered. In fact, I think they had I think it was 16 of them in the dorm. At the time it happened, it was 15 of them in there. So it was 15 on 6. And we had to fight them, right? And it was a good, long fight, man. Police ain't, or the correctional officer ain't coming right away. Right? They got to get their stuff together, too, to come stop the fight. So we're in there fighting 6 people on 15, and they put locks inside of a sock. And they started hitting us with locks in the socks on our head. You got cats bleeding, and we in there tumbling, trying to, get these cats up off of us. And I mean, man, dude, this is not fun. It's not fun. Another time I seen a guy, and this is crazy. We walking on the yard. It's a big-ass circle. We walking from, they call chow time, eating lunch, right? Eating dinner. And in prison, they don't really want y'all to gang up. What I mean by that is they don't want 10, 9 people huddling up together, walking around. And if you see that happening, you automatically know that, all right, man, something probably about to go down. Yeah. And so we walking around the yard and we started noticing that, hey, man, that group over there look kind of large, right? So the cats I'm with, we are, all right, here you go, y'all. Here we go. It's about to go down. Yeah. So we get ready to fight or whatnot. We looking, watching our back, see who's close with us. And I was like, wow, we was 5 of us. But we see this group over there, they're 15 to 20 of them. And then all of a sudden we start seeing the group they get tighter. And then we see arms just moving around. And so we man, look at this, look at this shit. And so we all kind of bag up against the wall and you start seeing other people start bagging up. And then all of a sudden you hear the alarm go off. And at this particular prison that I was at, you had to get face down, prone on the ground when the alarm go off. Because they don't want people standing up and police security running by you, correctional officers, and people might try to do something to them. So they want us to get a prone position. So we laid straight out on the ground. We getting down slowly looking. That whole crowd that was together kind of dispersed. Boom. And you see one cat kind of just dropping collapse to the ground. Man, he had hella holes all over him. They stabbed him up. He wasn't black. He was whatever they were, right? Whatever, it don't matter. But they stabbed him up real nice. I don't know if he survived or if he died or not. I don't really know. But I I know he got stabbed hella times. Another time, there was another ride in the dorm where they had to bring a helicopter in and land on top of the prison and ship him up out of there. I'm not sure if he survived. My point is, man, and that was a level 2 yard right there, right? You got level 3, level 4, where they really rocking. So I'm just telling y'all, man, whoever watching this, whoever listening to this, man, it ain't fly. It's not funny. If you find yourself going to jail, you might end up getting stuck, man. You ain't no promise to come home. People think that, hey, I got a release date. I get out December 24th. You might not make it to December. Right. Your ass might get killed in November.
Yeah.
Sometimes people know your date is coming and they just jump on you to make you extend your time.
Right.
And sometimes people will kill your ass because your date is coming. They don't have a date. Right? When you first go to San Quentin, they don't split you up like this person might be facing 50 years. This person right here might be 1 year. Everybody hit the reception yard. On the reception yard, you in there with people that killed 15 people probably. You might be in there because you keep drunk driving. And then you got to deal with this shit. Until after you got a reception, that's when they segregate you as to who need to go to what level. But when you're in reception, everything goes, man. And it's not funny, man. It's not fly. So if you're thinking about going out there committing that bootleg lick, man, you might want to think again, man, because at the end of the day, you want some consequences if they catch you.
Let's not only talk about how the person is affected on the inside, let's talk about how that person being on the inside is affecting the people on the outside, their family.
That's deep. I mean, you have people that, your family out here loving you, they missing you, right? Your kids. A lot of times people talk about, if somebody do something to my kids, I'm gonna do that and the other. But we don't think about what we're doing to our kids. Yeah. You're going back and forth to jail, right? Your kids out here on the streets crying, wanting to see daddy, wanting to see mommy, but you keep going back and forth to jail and shit, right? Your kids, they go to back to school night. You ain't there with them. Somebody else, they see other people with both of their parents, but your ass sitting in jail. You affecting your kids, right? You may have an older family member, a grandmama or somebody that's around here loving you, baby, I got you, I'm praying for you. But that's elder abuse. You abusing your grandmama. You treating her bad, right? Over and over again, she keeps seeing you go back and forth to jail. What about your significant others, right? Your sisters, your brothers, or whatever. They sitting out here sending your ass money while you're sitting in jail, accepting your phone calls, right? I mean, they have to pay these bills for you. Traveling, you travel for me. I mean, every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, about an hour, 2 hours. A 2-hour drive one way to come visit me, right?
Sometimes if I don't check, they would be locked down.
Won't you speak to that? Won't you speak? You can speak on that a little bit about what you experienced so people can know from a family member's perspective. What some of the things you had to experience when I was locked up and you came to see me?
Just basically, having to get up early on a Saturday and Sunday morning to make sure that I'm there on time, so that way I can get a number and get in. And also just having to wait, just having to make sure I'm wearing the right clothing. If not, you might not get a visit, or just like thinking that you're going to be at a visit for a long time and your visit get cut short just because there might be something that happened on the yard or an emergency or whatnot, or just because there's so many people that want to come that day, so now you have to leave out. It's expensive, like with the phone calls and just not knowing when a person is going to call, and you might not be in a position where you can actually talk that time, so you might have to miss the phone call, and so now you're like sad, and he's probably like thinking like what's going on out there, why the person didn't pick up the phone call. And so it's just a lot of like, especially when you also have kids as well, you're trying to basically you're a single parent outside of those prison walls. You're trying to take care of him and you're trying to take care of your household. And so it can be a lot financially, it can also be a lot just, mentally thinking about, okay, what's going on with him or whatnot, or is he okay? Or just a lot going on emotionally, whatever, because you want to be connected to the person that you like, love, or in lust with, or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot that goes into like having to like care for someone that is incarcerated, because pretty much your time with them is gone. Well, I'll say it's gone physically for the most part. So yeah.
And so I would say that, man, you contemplating on making these moves, man, that you can find yourself locked up and incarcerated. You got to think about your family. Sometimes people say, well, I'm thinking about my family, that's why I'm going to hit the lick. I don't know about that. I would say if you're thinking about your family, maybe not go hit a lick. Maybe go hit an application and try to get a job, right? There's all kind of opportunities out here. I told somebody not long ago, a group where I got my two sons, we started a toter service, right? What we did was, what kind of extra money can we make, right? The sons said they want to be entrepreneurs. Well, let's start now. right? We decided to go around the neighborhood and tell people, listen, we'll pull your garbage cans out the night before the garbage man come, take it out to the curbside for you, and then after your can is dumped, we'll put it back for you the next day. And we're charging people $5. My little son's 10 and 11 years old. They were making money by just doing something so simple. And if it had an incline or a hill, we'd charge them $8. And they was making money for themselves. That's entrepreneurship. So it's more than one way to make money. You ain't got to go out there and commit the leg or somebody get you mad at somebody. She's going to shoot through the car and kill somebody. It's other options, man, to talk it out and to try to fix shit instead of taking it to that next level.
And many times you might not even realize that you're gifted and talented, but what I see is that a lot of times people get behind that prison wall and their gifts and talents come out. Like, tattoo artists, drawing,
Yes.
People can sing, people can encourage other people. And people do, you have the programs in there where you can do the wood shop or carpentry or whatnot, automotive and whatever else you were telling me about. And so a lot of times people forget when they get on the streets that they actually have their gifts and talents, or they're just not, they're clueless and not even aware that they're actually operating their gift, and that their gift can actually make room for them to make money. They can make money with it.
No doubt about it. I mean, I came across people that can sing, sound so good. You'd be like, damn, who's singing?
Yeah.
But, when they come back home, they have addictions and they have other issues that they haven't addressed yet. And so they don't take on it, they don't follow their dreams, right? Rappers. I'm talking about people when they're rapping. I mean, it sounds just as good as some of our local rappers out here, or even the rappers from across the country, right? I've seen people work and do electrical things in there, man, they take some wires, put it together, put it inside the socket, which I'm like, we don't get electrocuted. Take some other stuff and put it into some water. And next thing you know, water warm up and we can make Thai ramen. And it's just,
that's amazing.
Have skills. I seen people, oh man, I've seen so many different talented people in there. And it's like, man, come on, man, you take this to the house and you will be really successful. And so, yeah, you're right. But once again, I think people have to deal with some of their habits and things like that. And when they come home, and they can definitely be successful, but also they need a chance, right? You go to a tattoo place or you go to an electrician's place and they say, oh, we can't use you. You've been convicted of a felony. And so now you don't get that opportunity. And so that's what I used to be a criminal is about. It's about opening people, broadening your mental thinking and and give people an opportunity to show their skills. Don't go off it just because they made a mistake. They're not worthy anymore. One more thing, it reminds me of when I was driving a garbage truck, right? I used to drive a garbage truck one day, and then the next day I'd be driving a green waste truck, picking up the green stuff at the curbside. And then the following day I'd be driving a recycle truck, picking up the recyclables, right, dumping them. And one day it came to me so clear, right? God spoke to me and said, hey, look, man, you're driving around these different trucks, day after day, but what you should be doing is going out there into the streets, going into the prisons, going into the jail, getting the people that people look at as trash and recycling them. And so, listen, that's what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to do that every chance I get. And once again, this is another avenue of recycling them, letting people see that they can be used for great.
So after being released from incarceration, did you find that it was hard for you to get a job?
Yes, it was definitely difficult. You get out of incarceration. I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have, of course, a job. And so things were very difficult for me. We had a vehicle, right, that you had, but we had no insurance. And so I had to make a decision, right? I could jump behind the wheel and go drive around and try to find jobs or whatever I want to do. But I decided to walk to DMV. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. I walked all the way to DMV because my mind was made up, right? I said, look, I'm not coming back to jail or prison unless I walk in on my own accord. I tell them I want to come in and come visit, which I do. I go in now. I walk in there when I'm ready to come in there, and then when I'm ready to leave, I say, all right, y'all, let me up out of here, and they let me go. That's the only way I was going back, and I had to make sure I lived by that, right? And so, yeah, it was very difficult at first when I first came home, and I knew that it was easy to go back to the hood. I can go back to the bottom and get some dope and sell some dope, or I had family members, other places that in the streets I could get going again. But I knew I couldn't do that anymore, right? I just had made my mind up, and so before I came home, I did what they call pre-release, right? Mm-hmm. I started preparing myself. I said, look, Marlo, you're going to go home, right? You got a couple of felonies, right? You got some misdemeanors in your record. What are you going to do? And so I was sitting right there in jail, or actually in prison. I started getting involved in things that would be helpful for me on my return home. One of the things I got involved with was carpentry. I took a carpentry class while I was in there, right? I started learning how to build stuff up, right? Build up houses, put down flooring and things like that, paint, patch walls. Mm-hmm. I felt like if I came home, there was an opportunity there for me. to probably be a carpenter or a construction worker. After I got real good with that, I decided to move over to a different program. I wrote this counselor and asked her, can they move me to welding? I went into welding. I learned how to do a couple of different types of weld. You got tack welding and things like that. I started getting real good with welding. Once I learned how to do 3 different types of welds, I said, all right, cool. So let me move to something else. So I asked, can they move me into auto mechanics? I went over to auto mechanics. I started learning how to do, change brakes, change the oil, change transmission fluid, change the tire, stuff I really never tripped off of before I went to jail because I paid somebody to do it, right? And so I started learning how to do it myself. And so for my thinking behind this was, listen, you're going to get released one day. And if you make it out of here, right, what are you going to do? I want to make myself as marketable as possible. And so I felt if I couldn't get a job with doing construction, well, maybe I get a job as being a welder. If I can't get a job at being a welder, I could get a job at changing tune-ups or doing tune-ups on cars. And so I had these tools, right? But don't get it twisted. And I think this is where a lot of people make mistakes at. They go to jail, go to prison, and they focus on playing pinochle. They focus these card games, right? They playing spades, just shooting basketball, playing handball, and all that shit. And you look up, you done spend 5 years of your life doing something that ain't gonna never amount to anything. So you wasting your time out there all day playing basketball, right? I never seen anybody that come out of prison to go play professional handball, all right? And so I'm just saying, it's things that you waste our time on in there, and it's all for nothing. And so don't get me wrong, even though I did these things, I did play basketball, I did play pinochle, I did play chess, I didn't indulge to the degree that I noticed I seen some people do. So when I came home, I had this skill level. And as I looked for a job, I was told no, like everybody else. And at times I thought about giving up, right? You didn't have money. We didn't have money to support us. We was doing bad. Negative. Yeah, we was in a hole. And so before I came home, I remember writing myself letters. I write myself letters and I asked you not to open them because I wanted to read them. I wanted to read them to remind me of doing time in prison. I wanted to remind me of the things I hated about jail and prison. It's because sometimes when people come home, we forget how we hated it. And then we find ourselves going back to doing the same bullshit that we did prior to. And so when I thought about going back and making maybe a negative move because our money wasn't right, I remember opening up the letter and reading it. Like, man, look, to myself, from Marlo sitting in prison to Marlo on the street. And it reminded me like, oh, you hate when they open your mail for you, right? You hate that they let you out like a caged animal when it's time to eat. They call it chow time, right? You hate when you have to use the phone, you got to put your ID in a little box and they give you a phone call 2 days later at the same time that you asked for the day 2 days prior. And you get 15 minutes. If the people want to be nice to you, they might give you 12 minutes. And you hate having your family drive 2 hours to come see you for 1 hour and they got to leave you. And all this stuff I hated, I seen in the letters. And it motivated me to continue to strive. And I humbled myself and I asked for a job. I went to a person and asked him for a job as a carpenter, and that person gave me an opportunity. He knew that I had tried. I've been doing well for myself. I learned the skill while I was in jail. And then the name of that business was Top of the Line Builders out of Castro Valley. His name was Matthew Trulio. And I always give him a shout out because he gave me an opportunity. And with that opportunity, I felt like maybe at the time I probably felt like I was worth more, but he gave me an opportunity as a carpenter apprentice and paid me out of prison. And I'll never forget that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Shout out to Matt because he did come through in our time of need because we definitely was like, okay, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And from there, though, working for Matt, I was able to go and study the commercial handbook from DMV, and I was able to get my permit, Class A license permit, and Matt was able to direct me to a company in San Francisco that would actually hire me with my felony without even having my Class A license. They gave me a chance and gave me a chance to do something better out of prison after working for Matt for a couple of months, making probably like $10, $50, $11 an hour. I got to that job. I started making like $21.50, $22 an hour. We had full medical benefits and things were good, but I had to strive. Imagine if I never took that carpentry class.
Exactly.
While I was in jail. Imagine if I just played pinochle all day. My ass would have came back out here without a skill, and I don't know if I would have been where we are today.
Right, but what I'm reminded of is the scripture, faith without works is dead. Like you actually were putting the faith in to get things done, and God was rewarding that and giving you work.
Absolutely, most definitely. Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
So at this time, I want you to look directly at the audience. I want you to speak to that person that may be watching the show right now that's in the valley of decision, trying to figure out whether they should, on the fence, like, should I go do the wrong thing, or should I stay the course and do the right thing, or should I start the course of doing the right thing? If you had one piece of advice that you would give them, what would you tell them right now?
Well, listen, if you're on the fence and you're thinking about going negative or positive, man, go positive. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, you're gonna find yourself in a much tougher situation, thinking you may improve your current situation, right? I know how you might feel. You might have been told you were trash all your life, right? I remember when I came home from prison, I had a parole officer tell me to kill myself. He said, "Man, you might well kill yourself. Man, your life is over, bro. It's over for you, right? If I'd had a mental fortitude to continue and stay strong, I probably would have went and jumped off the Bay Bridge or something, right? But I stayed focused. I don't know if you've been told something negative and you're starting to believe that. I'm telling you right now, don't believe that. Take those words that people may have said to you that were negative, go look them up in the dictionary on your phone or whatever, and look at the opposite word, right? That tell you something positive, right? That word, you ugly. All right, look it up. Flip it around. What else? What's the opposite of ugly? Beautiful. You're pretty, right? Start looking up those words and start remembering those words and encourage yourself by putting it on your phone screen, put it on your computer screen, put it on your wall in your bathroom when you go look in the mirror. Whatever, you always see these positive words, right? I don't care what you're going through. There's somebody out here that can help you, right? There's somebody out there. Reach out for help. In the book, from the bottom to the top, I got a section I talk about life jackets, right? Where people, sometimes we're afraid. We're afraid to reach out and ask for assistance, right? And I say in the book, like, hey, look, if you out in the ocean and you at sea and say you fall off the boat, right? And you in this water, you in these waves about to drown, and you see somebody come by in a boat, you ain't going to sit there and just say, oh, I don't want to ask you no help. No, your ass is going to reach out and look for some assistance. You want them to throw you out a life jacket, right? You want them to throw you out something to catch you and pull you in. Right now, you have an opportunity. You're on that rope. You're on that fence. I'm telling you right now, don't waver, man. Jump off the fence on the positive side. Just jump off. Fuck the negative side. Just dive off in and go get some assistance if you need it. Call me. Reach out to me at MarloDaMotivator.com is my website. And you can hit me at my email at MarloDaMotivator.com and say, Marlo, what advice you got for me, right? I'm going to give it to you for free, right? I could be charging. I'm not even going to charge you. I'm going to get you the help that I think that you may need or that you think you may need to get you to the next level. But don't go down a negative pathway. It's not worth it. Only thing going to come out of that is death, jail, or maybe you may find yourself being disabled or something, right? It's not worth it, man. Stay on the right track.
Okay, it's easy to say stay on the right track, but remember that there are things that come up that will try to throw you off the right track. What advice would you give them if some opposition comes their way, or if some guy comes their way and say, oh, you're struggling? Oh, let me give you this bundle or whatever, so you can get some get back, but you can still do your thing and try to find a job. What advice would you give them?
That's good. No, that's going to probably happen to you, right? And I talk about that. I know I keep talking about the book, but in the book, I have a section where I give out real life scenarios, right? Where people try to come up and try to holler at me, right? People I know I'm look at them. I ain't doing good, right? I'm still trying to get my shit together, but I'm not trying to chase illegal activity, right? And somebody come up on me that I know, they be like, Marlo, we ain't seen you in a long time, bro. Where you been? Hey, I've been cool, just trying to hang in there, right? Oh, man, check this out. I'm still out here in these streets. They talking about they popping their collars and they got this money and they all this, that, and the other. If you need something, get at me, right? What I'm saying to you guys is you have to be able to make decisions, right? And I'm telling you right now, people say, Marlo, let me get your number. The same individual, right? You know what I give him? I give him the wrong fucking number. No, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, I don't want to communicate with you now. I know it's hard, right? And it is very difficult to say, hey, let me get a bundle, let me make a little money while I work. But at the end of the day, man, that little money gonna turn into you want to try it again, and you want to try it again, and then you're gonna say, this is my last time. And usually when you say it's your last time, your ass go to jail. I know this because I've done it myself. I'm telling you, don't go for the first time. Stay away from that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, when I go in there and I talk to people in the prisons, we always talk about squares, right? Oh, this motherfucker square work for McDonald's. I want you to understand something. That square working for McDonald's, that motherfucker stay on the streets. He's still out here. He get to eat for free from McDonald's. Your chick coming in while your ass sitting in prison. He give her a free Big Mac. What you think about to happen? Come on, man. Get your mind right, man. Go get you a job. There's a lot of non-profits out here that will hire you if you have a felony. If you sitting on the fence right now saying, I got a felony though, bro, they don't give me a chance. That can be further from the truth, especially if you're in the Bay Area, right? I'm in Oakland area, right? I'm in Alameda County. They got all kind of community-based organizations get money and funding from the federal government to hire people that look just like me, that been to jail, that can come out here and talk to people and keep them encouraged. They hire you because you're a specialist. So don't give up. Don't go chase the negativity. And if you ain't never been to jail, don't go to jail. There's right now, they claim that there are more jobs than people looking for jobs. Man, you keep hustling. Take something small. I took 10, 50 an hour starting up. I kept going up, but I had to start somewhere.
So if I had the ability to take you back in time to talk and sit with the 13-year-old Marlo, what sound advice would you give him?
First and foremost, I let him know that he's a king, right? You're a leader. And you're going to experience some things in your life and you had already at that time, that you may be wondering, like, man, dude, where's this leading me to, right? I'm hungry, I'm homeless, I'm living on the floor here and there. But at the end of the day, you were great. And your experiences that you're going through in life is going to be what even make you greater, because you're going to be able to touch other people that may be going through that or maybe about to go through that, and let them know that they can make it through, right? And I look at it by saying this: what you meant for evil, right? What the evil one meant for you, right? Right here in my book, right? And for me, there was a lot of things meant for your evil. Marlo, you 13, that's okay. You went through a lot. But in that book, that character come out being victorious. And that's the same with you, bro. You victorious. Don't worry about it. Just hang in there. You're going to experience all kind of stuff. Even the loss of your mother. You young. You lose your mother at 24. It hurt. That's okay. You don't need to change anything that you're going to go through. You're going to accept all that, because it's going to make you a great man, of great character, great morals, a great husband, a great father, and a great person overall. But you have to go through these experiences so you can be, God can use you to help other people.
And I think that the 13-year-old Marlo would receive that advice in love.
Most definitely.
And it would inspire him and encourage him to know that no matter what he's about to face or what he's already faced, he wins in the end.
Most definitely. And like I say, I said all the time, the book, I named it From the Bottoms to the Top, right? I wasn't just saying from the bottom, and you start at the bottom somewhere, which is true. I feel like I was at the bottom, you couldn't get no worse in my situation. I lived in 26 different apartments, 14 different motels, 2 different homeless shelters, a couple of times my mom in a drug rehabilitation center. I was at the bottom, bro. I was eating in Salvation Army, sending a long ass line, 50 people in front of us, homeless, holes in their shoes, holes in my shoes, pushing carts, starving. I mean, hungry, go out there and go sit down and have to use the same utensils the homeless person used. I was at the bottom, right? But at the same time, I was in the lower bottoms, right? And so that's why I did that. And so, yeah, I started at the bottom. I want you to understand, you feel like your current space in your life is at the bottom, right? But I want whoever watching today to understand that your current space in the future is going to be at the top, but you got to push yourself there from the bottom to the top. And a lot of times I say this, and I'll repeat it again right now on this show. I want people to understand it's not where you start that defines you. It's what you make of it that defines you.
And so I just want to speak to you and say that you have to know that within your heart, that despite whatever you're going through, despite whatever the enemy has told you from the beginning up until right now, you have to know that you fight from a place of victory. So when you are fighting to get a job, when you're fighting to overcome that mental abuse, when you're fighting to overcome that sexual abuse, know that you are fighting from a place of victory, because in the end, you win. It might not look like it because what's going on around you because of your circumstances, but know that in the end, you win.
Oh, most definitely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to say this too. Like me, when I came home, I had people saying you can't get expungement, you can't get a certificate of rehabilitation, and somebody might be right now being incarcerated looking at this show and wondering, like, can I get my record expunged? You can. I don't care what somebody might tell you you can't do. You can, right? You can get off probation early. You can. I want you to understand something. For me, the expungement process, and for you, if you've never been in prison, right, and you only been in county jail or whatever you've been arrested for, you get an expungement, right? And then once you get that expunged, you can actually say when you go apply for jobs, I've never been convicted of a felony, right? Especially here in California. I can't speak about every state, but I'm talking about California. And in some areas in California, they shouldn't even ask you that question anyway, right? However, a certificate of rehabilitation is something you got to get if you've been in prison, right? And to get that is very difficult. But if you get that certificate of rehabilitation, it goes to the governor as a pardon. The governor can pardon you and you get all your rights back, everything you ever lost, right, as a citizen, if the governor say so. But I remember I was told by a lawyer, right, several lawyers. In fact, one of the lawyers ended up becoming a Superior Court judge right here in Alameda County, told me, you can't get a certificate of rehabilitation. It's not going to work for you, sir. Mm-hmm. Right? Over and over again. And I felt discouraged. Even the motivator was discouraged, right? And my wife, she told me, like, don't give up. You're going to let them tell you can't get it? And I said, you know what? I'm going to apply anyway. I didn't use a lawyer. I did it myself. God gave me the ability to look online and try to find these tools. And I applied for a certificate of rehabilitation. I got in the courtroom and went through all the whole process. It took me months. When you get a certificate of rehabilitation, they take time because the DA got to go out and investigate you. They send out private investigators looking into all your history.
Speak about that.
Yeah,
go into detail about that.
They look into your history. They want to see what you've been doing, right? Since you've been out of jail. First of all, what you've been doing before you went to jail, while you were in jail. If you went to prison, they looked at your record to see what you did while you was in prison. If you were into a lot of fights and all that, they're looking at all of that. Then when you came home, they look at your social media account. I mean, they looked at my YouTubes. They looked at my Instagram, my Facebook. I mean, they looked at everything. They went to my neighbors. They went to the job. They looked everywhere, right? And at the end of the day, the investigator called me in. And the reason I know he was looking at everything because when I came in there, he watched this show. I used to be a criminal. He watched this show. And when I came in, he said the part that Malcolm X said, once be a criminal is no disgrace. He recited that to me and asked me, hey, where do you think I got that from? And he said, who said it? And I said, Malcolm X. He said, where do you think I got it from? I said, I don't know. He said, from your show. I watched all your episodes of your show. It was a pretty damn good show. And I just want you to know they look into everything. And so if you're still out there in the streets, maybe doing a little this, that, and the other, and you think you're going to go try to get a certificate, I would say, hey, don't go for the certificate because you might mess around and get yourself a new crime. Right. But if you're serious about doing the right thing, if you're serious about doing the right thing, then go for the certificate. But my point is that they told me I couldn't get it. And at the end of the day, after they did the investigation, I was in the courtroom. The DA came back and said, hey, man, we ain't standing his way. The man, he earned a second chance. The judge gave me the certificate of rehabilitation. It's probably at the governor's desk right now, waiting to see if he'll give me a pardon. But I just want you to know that people are going to tell you can't achieve stuff. You can't get things done. Don't listen to them, right? It ain't for them to believe that you can do it. It's for your ass to believe you can do it. And it's for you to chase it, right? Only person can stop you from being great is one person, and that's you.
So lastly, if someone wants to reach out to you, how would they go about contacting you?
Several ways. You can reach me at, like I said before, my website is marlothemotivator.com. Or you can reach me at my email, which is marlo@marlothemotivator.com. You can reach out to me that way, send me an email. And I'll get back to you, man. It's not that difficult. I'm very flexible. I'm able to talk to you, and help you out in any capacity that I think that that we can come together on an agreement on it and figure that to be helpful for you. Once again, you guys can purchase my books if you want to. Once again, at marlothemotivator.com/books. It's 2 children's books. One of them is about a little guy that was bullied, right? It's about trying to cut down the bullying that we see around our country. Not to mention just adults and kids alike, right? It's about trying to cut down the bullying. The little guy was bullied for a lot of his school age years, but he ended up being a good runner and becoming a famous track star. The other one that despite the fear is about a little girl who had trouble speaking. It couldn't articulate words, and she was very scared to speak in school and anywhere. And then she ended up getting the courage at some point when she started doing speeches and went on and became the first African-American woman president of the United States of America. Right? We're speaking that into existence. It's going to come one day. So I said it first here. And then also, like I said, again, from the bottom to the top, self-help, motivational book geared towards anyone. You don't have to be a person that's been in prison to get that book. Listen to me. Sometimes people think prison is behind bars or locked up in the cell. I want you to understand something. Your ass could be sitting in the comfort of your own living room and be in your prison, right? You could be, your mind is locked up because you keep thinking that you can't break free. I want you to understand something. This book is for you too. I'm gonna flip it back to you now. Do you have anything that you want to leave, a last impression or thoughts you want to leave with the audience, how they can reach you maybe, or tell them once again some of the things that you're doing?
If you want to reach out to me or just follow what I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram at I am Nicole Spooner. If you want to reach me via email, you can email me at godeventolive@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, godeventolive.com, and just check out what I'm doing and just hear about my story. Once again, like I said in the beginning, I'm helping women overcome the generational curse of what goes on in my house stays in my house, and dealing with, being conned out of your confidence where the enemy comes in and throws a traumatic event in your life. or those that bad life experience, and he comes you out of your confidence in yourself and confidence in God. So thank you for allowing me, Marlo the Motivator, to be the host of I Used to Be a Criminal. And I really enjoyed talking to you today. Some of the things I already knew, but some of the things still was a little bit like, shocking to hear out of your mouth. And so I appreciate your words of encouragement to the people. And I pray that everyone that's listening to this show found some sense of wisdom in whatever was said and can gain some type of insight into their own life and how they can make their own life better by this man's testimony.
Thank you. And once again, want to thank Nicole for coming onto the show and being a host for our first episode of season 2. Hey, we made it through season 1. Season 2 gonna be another banger. Y'all tune in to next week's show. We're going to have a great guest, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Listen, another thing I need you guys to do, make sure y'all like the video and share it. You know what I mean? If you're enjoying this, make sure you share with other people on your platforms, that so more people can come and indulge in this great thing that we're doing here. All right. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in to I Used to Be a Criminal. See y'all next week.